Regardless, what we will see transmits an impression of being absolutely authentic. Bitcoin went down from 38,000 US dollars, yet right now it is clearly making a manual for address this. Yet again of late, the protections trade went down. We are right now at around 36,000 US dollars. It appears as though there is a smidgen of progress in the expense. Expecting that we search in any event in most raised spots of the worth, what is the essential Fibonacci degree? This will be our heavenly spot, here. Other than that, when we look at the expense and how much trading that happened, it seems like there is a response at the more affordable reach. Besides, we other than disposed of a money to keep adequate cash open, thusly, we were trading around an assistance region the neighborhood with showing. This moment, we are seeing a slight vertical turn of events. By and by, might Bitcoin whenever eventually stay at this level of help for the going with a couple of hours. Likewise, might it at whatever point ultimately progress forward up basically more. This second, everyone is seeing close to see what others are doing keeping watch. Without a doubt, we are seeing a few signs that the market is going up. At the present time, the Bitcoin frames show that there is a lot of strain to sell keeping watch. This understands that people are selling Bitcoin. Anyway, the expense of Bitcoin is correct now higher than quite a bit early. On September 14th, I posted a tweet on Twitter conveying that there is a lot of progression with Bitcoin on the CVD marker. People are attempting to buy a ton regardless are not persuading. Regardless, in this continuous situation, we have a negative separation. One more high point was being made on the CVD marker. Bitcoin was making a lower high early, but in the end it's doing the inverse. We are seeing more people getting Bitcoin, yet the CVD pointer is showing an exceptional disappointment. This sign is horrible for Bitcoin. It's a reproach that the expense of Bitcoin could go down, that we are seeing the inverse, which is actually a lovely sign to the drawback of Bitcoin. Tragically, it's not consistently so especially average as you would customarily think. On September 14th, when I posted this, it was a stunning sign to the burden of Bitcoin. Notwithstanding, we have seen a gigantic improvement in the expense of Bitcoin. Expecting that we look at the frameworks, we can see that it happened at a specific time. Bitcoin progressed forward up from an overall perspective more. In the other heading, we are at present seeing a lot of buying and positive improvement keeping watch. Sadly, we can't just recognize this data and say Bitcoin will go far up thinking about the way that there's new headway data very close. As of now, what we can expect to see is an enormous ruin from 3.7% becomes around 3. In any case, in the going with a couple of numbers, we will sort out what the legitimate data shows. Expecting Bitcoin progresses forward up, it looks magnificent considering the way that few explicit pointers show that it's generally plausible going to progress forward up. In any case, there is another fundamental thing that I really need to tell you. Envision what's going on in which the signs that the expense will go up are not right, and it truly propels forward down and crosses our resistance levels. Expecting we look at the chart for an hour, I let you in on yesterday that this might major areas of strength for B for watching out. That I think we all around agree that this cost progress looks very obliging. In case we make a gauge as of now, the most essential point for Bitcoin has been reached. Later in the video, I will tell you that speculating isn't the best decision for trading. Regardless, if we say that Bitcoin has showed up at its most raised point, we may generally be checking a little diminishing, not an epic quitter. We just sorted out we were acquitted at comparative level we started from. At any rate, for the present, we ought to separate the guard for why this negative situation is correct now possible, yet at the indistinguishable not likely. Alright, Bitcoin has been reliably trading at the 37,000 district, and in the present Bitcoin cost figure video, we'll take a gander at the defense for why fundamental worth upgrades can be expected sooner rather than later, considering how not simply we are seeing some insane bullish upkeep, yet moreover a brand new development report will go live. Anyway, we, explicitly, will see, it genuinely is evidently that, after an excusal at 38,000 USD region, without question, Bitcoin got a fundamental push towards detriment. At this point from there on out, we are simply outlining a retouching depiction or something along those lines, by and large looking on the 2-hourly time frame. Of late, we got another push towards disadvantage. Towards 36,000 US dollars, where it really appears as though we are right at this point seeing a little reaction, since, in such a case that we go from our swing low back to our swing high, what is the focal Fibonacci degree? It is truly going to be our amazing pocket, which was unequivocally at this specific locale. Similarly, assessing the entire upper expense improvement with the volume, it really appears as though we are seeing a reaction at the value region low. Moreover, furthermore, we additionally took out unambiguous lows for liquidity purposes, thusly, we were trading at a close by help district or something to that effect. Besides, this ensuing we are seeing a little turn towards the ordinary augmentation. Clearly, the requesting is Bitcoin going to have the choice to hold our area of help for the going with 2 or 3 hours here? Similarly, truly happen with its way essentially higher towards the opposite, thinking about how the truth is paying right now, uncommonly close consideration concerning what others are doing, watching out that it truly is clearly that mark of reality. We are seeing a few bullish signs happening right as of now in the Bitcoin frames. Our CVD pointer, which is studying if the exchanging pressure is coming, watching out, we are seeing an immense push towards burden, which right at present proposes selling pressure is coming clearly in the market, while Bitcoin is at this point outlining a higher low or something to that effect. That in a little while, on Twitter, on 14th of September, I posted a very enchanting tweet, which truly said enormous upkeep on Bitcoin is at this point happening on the CVD pointer. People are basically buying especially ludicrously. Notwithstanding, for this ongoing circumstance here, we got a negative capability. Totally new higher high was forming on the CVD marker. That while Bitcoin was molding a lower high at present for this ongoing circumstance that we are seeing right now, it is, as per a confirmed perspective, extraordinarily surprising. We are seeing a higher credit Bitcoin, but an ideal lower low on the CVD marker. So if this here was a negative sign for Bitcoin, was a full alert for the Bitcoin C itself as of the continuous second that we are seeing absolutely uncommon, which is really going to be a bullish sign for the Bitcoin respect itself. Anyway, it isn't unequivocally so particularly central as you would routinely think, unfortunately, taking into account the way that on 14th of September, when I posted this, undeniably, it was a legendary negative sign for the Bitcoin respect itself. Regardless, we have gotten an enormous direct in the Bitcoin respect itself since, expecting that we go right now, for example, on the 4-hour time span, and see when this was truly happening. It was genuinely occurring overall at this specific district. Bitcoin fundamentally happened with basically higher towards the opposite. So what is it that I really want to say with this? For certain, it is clearly that we are seeing right now the mentioning stream that is coming in the market unquestionably and bullish. Coincidentally, tragically, we can't simply irregularly recognize this specific data and say Bitcoin is right eventually going to see a psycho helper towards the typical development, especially taking into account the way that in the next few hours, Perfect Improvement Report or CPI data will be uncovered after a short time. What we can see that it is truly expected will be an incredible drop from 3.7% to around 3%. Clearly, in the coming numbers, we will see all that the authentic data will tell us. Moreover, expecting Bitcoin is truly going to happen with its way towards the converse, considering the way that, as implied early, a piece of the technicals, especially the deal stream here, is looking unbelievably bullish and very good. Anyway, another key thing that I ought to provide for you is really going to be envision what's going on where this bullish signs here won't work out and we are truly going to happen with our way even lower towards injury to break our specific assistance districts. Since, in such a case that we go for example on the 1-hour time frame, really I actually given you access on that this here can be an inspiration or something to that effect. Moreover, I figure we can all agree this specific expense movement looks extremely consistent. So enduring we right at present get it. That the top for Bitcoin is in. Clearly, later in the video, I will tell you that, clearly, assessing isn't unequivocally going to be the most ideal decision concerning trading. Regardless, in any case, expecting we right at this point say that the top for Bitcoin is in, we can be taking a gander at a supportive part, the exceptionally unambiguous district or something to that effect. Correspondingly understanding that we got an excusal, as indicated by a genuine perspective unequivocal. Regardless, what we will see transmits an impression of being absolutely authentic. Bitcoin went down from $38,000, yet right now it is clearly ma. From there on out, we have been seeing close to no trading activity on the Bybit and Coinbase graphs generally through the scope of the last hour, 2 hours, and 4 hours. For instance, the total Bitcoin being traded the latest a couple of days is barely anything. It might be said it is going down. Okay, clearly, we should be ready for Bitcoin to go up, which I recognize is to some degree more sensible. Yet again anyway, we similarly ought to be prepared expecting Bitcoin stops going up and starts going down. Thus I genuinely need to outline and edify you. What is the going with cost objective we need to reach? Enduring we finished our most principal wave and second wave, we can use Fibonacci levels to anticipate the going with cost target. We look at the high and hindered spots of the second wave to figure it out. Before long, we finished our second Alnut wave at a cost of around $37,600 USD. Expecting that happens, we should zero in on our 1.618 Fibonacci expansion level is at around $33,400 US. I figure this target may be appeared at in case our CPI data is enormously horrible and expecting the Bitcoin cost drops a ton, maybe soon. If that happens, and our essential assistance regions are broken, I would concur that we need to zero in on the 618 Fibonacci improvement level at an expense of $33,400 US. As per my perspective, it's not likely that the expense will go up basically, but we should anyway be prepared accepting the development report is interminably out shocking. Right now, might we anytime look at a few signs that show the market is likely going to go up? Might we anytime explore our specific assumption to the inconvenience of Bitcoin? Right now, we can see a basic or by and large wonderful reaction happening at the gold Fibonacci degree district. Regardless, that isn't all. As I suggested in my past records, striking moving midpoints can be used on different time periods like an hour, 2 hours, 4 hours, and, incredibly, standard, the ongoing second, the market is doing normally around well and going up. Moreover, expecting you look at the RSI pointer on the 1 hour time span for Bitcoin, it's showing that there is a higher low and a lower low representing. A couple of hours sooner, there was even a bewildering bullish distinction. Regularly, there is a time period, and at standard reaches, there is moreover a time frame. They are both the very same thing. The expense of Bitcoin is making little drops and a short period of time later really higher drops. This is making a model that shows the expense could go up soon. Undoubtedly, as implied a couple of days sooner, we see a negative model on the standard graph. Other than overall there are no gigantic signs of a channel. We experienced a colossal setback in regard with a lot of trading improvement. Thusly, accordingly, I genuinely need to say that lenient Bitcoin goes up, the focal degree of hindrance it could defy is the grand Fibonacci degree. Using the gold Fibonacci degree on our graph, we start from the high point and drop down to the beat spot down. You will see that there is areas of strength for enormous for an at decisively $37,400 and from there on out we are seeing surely low volume on the 1 hourly, on the 2 hourly, on the 4 hour time frame, on the Bybit diagram here, yet besides we can go with a Coinbase frame. For example, the volume for Bitcoin in the new days is extremely low. It might be said it is reducing towards the weight. So clearly, not simply we should be prepared for more expected gain, which as per my perspective, it is to some degree more possible, yet similarly consider how conceivable it is that Bitcoin completed out at this specific area and we will indiscreetly happen with even lower. To that end I really want to make and provide for you. What will be our next essential expense target, expecting we right eventually say that we completed our most essential rash part wave here, and we got also our resulting part wave. Clearly, what is the going with cost target? All we want to do, we go with our Fibonacci progression levels from our swing high, back to our swing low, back towards the fulfillment of our following part wave. We could talk about when this second Alnut wave truly finished, if it was genuinely at this specific locale, or maybe at this specific area, or maybe if it's not even finished as of the continuous second, and we will see another push towards the opposite. Anyway, we ought to just say that we finished our second Alnut wave around at 37,600 USD, taking into account everything, we truly need to zero in on our 1.618 Fibonacci increase level, which will be at around 33,400 US. So I would concur that this specific goal will turn out to be conceivably the essential part, gave that right now our CPI data will be extremely negative, and we are really going to see an enormous reaction in the Bitcoin respect itself, and we are genuinely going to see a fundamental drop, maybe in the approaching hours, enduring that is destined to be what's happening. Expecting our fundamental assistance locales here will with being broken, clearly, I would concur that 1.618 Fibonacci development level is a focal expense place for us to accumulate around at 33,400 US, yet as suggested quite a bit early, somewhat as per my perspective, it isn't strangely discerning that we will see a key push towards NASA, yet as implied ahead of time. We should be composed considering the way that examine how conceivable it is that improvement report here will be especially negative. In the end, we ought to examine extra bullish signs. We ought to examine what can't try not to be what's happening for the Bitcoin respect itself. We know right now that we are seeing a fundamental reaction, or actually an incredibly wonderful reaction, unequivocally at the gold Fibonacci degree locale here. Regardless, in addition, as suggested right now in my past records, significant moving midpoints on the 1 hourly, on the 2 hourly, on the 4 hourly time frame, even on the customary time period, right now looking extremely bullish, we are in an ascent. Similarly, in case you will go, for example with the RSI marker, expect on the 1 hour time frame, Bitcoin is molding a higher low RSI sparkling clean, lower low, and we were even at the oversight district 2 or 3 hours sooner, covered, bullish uniqueness 0.2 hourly time period, for hourly time frame, exactly the same thing. Lower low, higher low on the Bitcoin respect itself, hidden away bullish divergences are right at this point being framed on adjoining term time stretches. Without a doubt, as right as of now implied moreover 2 or 3 days sooner, on the customary time frame, we are showing negative separation here, but as suggested, locally talking, we are at this point not unequivocally seeing any tremendous negative signs, basically that we have gotten a huge excusal towards the plausible addition on a truly high volume. Consequently, thusly, I could really need to say that expecting Bitcoin does observer and as its would like towards the possible development, our locale, or truly our most tremendous region check is again going to be unfathomable Fibonacci degree. From the high back to our low, applying only the gold Fibonacci degree on our configuration. You can see the close by block will come up unequivocally at 37,400 US dollars, changing perfectly with our past highs for liquidity purposes. Plus, additionally, in this way assessing the entire upper expense improvement with volume, you will see we truly have our value region high around at the gold Fibonacci degree. Certain people similarly say that if we really examine our previous highs with a corner-to-corner area of resistance that this level situation here will splendidly agree with the spot of control. Likewise, presumably, I would agree with them. So what we can write as of now say, expecting that Bitcoin happen with higher, our most basic neighborhood block for us to zero in on, it will be this specific zone, around our past highs, overall our slanting level, our place of control, our value area high, and clearly additionally the stunning Fibonacci degree at 37,400 US dollars.